Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of NinaRibena's Art Journal Prompts and More. It's week 3 of this month's Art Movements Prompt, and the challenge this week is Fauvism. Fauvism was quite a short-lived art movement from 1904 until 1908. Started off by Henri Matisse, some other artists that you might recognise from this particular art movement were André Derain, Van Gogh, Seurat, Cézanne, and it wasn't very popular. They were known as the wild beasts, and a lot of people thought that the artwork they were creating was seen as being a complete disgrace for art. So, characteristics of Fauvism. Here's an example of a Fauvist piece of art. Exaggerated, vibrant colour. Use of contrasting colours to create volume and structure. Broad brush strokes and the use of moderately thick paint. Also, a radical use of unnatural colours as well. So for instance, here we have the beach is red, the sky is green and yellow, the water is green, the sand is blue. So, a strong use of unnatural colours. So go and do your research and try and familiarise yourself with Fauvist style art. I'm going to show you my video now and I will catch up with you at the end. But just before I start, let me just show you what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using chalk pastels today. I'm using the Inscribe pastels. Mine are a set of 64. These are really inexpensive, under £10 for a set. And this is what they look like. Chalk pastels are messy, so I am going to be working on a piece of kitchen towel just to catch all of the dust. And I do seal my piece as well with some clear matte sealant at the end as well, just to protect it. So I'll show you my video and I'll catch you at the end. Now I've opted to use chalk pastels for today's page, and I've put a few colours that I want to use to the side of me. You can see at the moment that I've put some pencil marks. I'm doing a landscape and I've drawn some pencil marks to give me a guide, and I'm starting off with the skyline, and I'm using various shades of yellows, some orange, pinks and purples, and I'm applying the chalk in quite a sturdy motion. I'm pressing quite hard on that paper and working quickly as well with vigour to try and get that Fauvist look. Now I'm working on a piece of kitchen towel here because the chalk pastels are quite messy, so the paper towel here can catch all of the messy bits. You can see as I blend it with my finger that quite a lot of dust is coming off. I'm tapping my paper on the napkin as well just to remove the excess, and you'll see that my hands are pretty dirty by the end of this page, the dirtiest I have been in a long time. But the good thing about chalk pastels is that it comes off really easily just with soap and water. So, as I said in the introduction, Fauvist style is characterised by the radical and unnatural use of bold, bright colours. And you can see here that, my sky is lots of reds and yellows. I move on to mountains in a minute, and my mountains are blue. So I'm just, bearing in mind those characteristics whilst I'm creating my page. So I'm going to put on some nice music for you now and just let you watch me build up those lovely, gorgeous, vibrant layers. now that I'm happy with the layers I've built up in my background, I want to start adding some focal interest to my page. I'm adding some red trees here, and you'll see that I use a piece of wax paper just to press over that chalk to fix it to the blue mountain, because obviously if I smudged it with my finger I'd just smear that red chalk all over the background and they wouldn't resemble trees anymore. So wax paper or parchment paper would even work, is a very, very handy tool. Now my trees aren't realistic, as you can see. I'm just trying to give the impression of trees. I do end up altering the red ones quite a bit as well. I decide later on that they're just not big enough. But it's really easy to alter your work with chalk pastels. And you'll see later as well that I add some trees in the middle that I'm not happy with at all. And I just rub them out and start again. Now I want to create the impression of some wildflowers on my page, and so I'm using a craft knife just to scrape some of the chalk onto the page. So I add some pink at the bottom and then some red on the blue mountain, and I just use the wax paper again just to press firmly with my finger just to get that chalk to stick. And it's at this point that I decide that my trees aren't big enough, so I just add more red chalk and make them bigger. Now you can still just about see the outline of those green trees that were in the centre of the page. I didn't like them, they weren't working for me, the shape of the trees just wasn't quite right, so I took a piece of kitchen towel and rubbed them away. So I'm just going over that background just to fill it in, and I just start again. This time I decide that some more red trees would just be more in keeping with the rest of the page, and I'm just really happy with the way that these look. So this is my finished piece of Fauvism style artwork. I'm really happy with this, and I think it ticks the boxes, and I think, you know, it stands out as being Fauvism. I said at the beginning of the video that I would be sealing my artwork because chalk pastels, you could see they're very powdery, and if I rubbed this the chalk would come off. Well, it won't now because I've sealed it. I've sealed it with Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear, and I've used the clear matte finish, and I've given this 3 coats. If I rubbed it very, very hard, I'm sure that some of the chalk would come off, but you know, it's good enough for me to have in my art journal. So I look forward to seeing how everybody else decides to interpret the Fauvism prompt this week. As I say, go and do your research, check out the main characteristics of Fauvism style art. Remember, bold use of unnatural colours, colours that are opposite each other in the colour wheel, being next to each other. So for instance, here I've got reds, then next to that I've got my blues, then I've got orange next to that. So, you know, taking advantage of those opposites. So I hope you enjoyed my video this week and you like the piece of art that I created. As always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up if you did, and let me know what you think in the comments below, and take care everyone. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.